are back. And so are JT, Beyonce, Usher, and Rihanna. Along with the rest of the pop hits that shaped the sound of the new millennium. SiriusXM's Pop 2K, a non-stop commercial-free flashback to the era of boy bands, telephones, and MP3s. On Channel 10. To hear this channel, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or head to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly.
With the SiriusXM Platinum VIP plan, you can unlock the ultimate listening experience in up to 2 cars and stream anywhere with 2 app logins. Enjoy our greatest content, opportunities for live VIP experiences, and prioritize customer care. Plus, get access to over 5,000 audio and video concert recordings through nugs.net. Call 844-711-8800 and become a VIP. Offer details apply. Not available in Canada.
Amazing moments happen so much at SiriusXM. We want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SiriusXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artists you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
On SiriusXM.
To fight for our democracy. That's been the work of my first term.
Thrilled to be back with thousands of proud American patriots.
Where every voice matters.
I'm as far left as you can get.
This president has not complied with his oath.
Left, right, center, decided, or undecided.
We have to use our voices. We have to stand up for what we believe.
The only place for every perspective and your voice about your vote. On SiriusXM.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, let's see. There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, let's see.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 0184868.
Rondo Deportes, bonjour, vidi vidi vici, let's get ready to rumble! Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me, and people who love the universe, and that would include you. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's actually March the 20th, 2024. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit ya, where the good Lord split ya. And hopefully he didn't split you too big, if that makes sense to you, even though people are getting all type of body augmentation so they can get a bigger split, if that makes sense to you. Now, I want a bigger split, too, when it comes to getting commissions from the insurance companies and the mortgage companies. Give having a big split some praise. It's not all bad, if that makes sense to you. What I love about the Big C Sports Podcast is I love bringing it to you every Monday through Friday at 5 or 6 p.m. worldwide on 29 podcast applications all over the universe. And streaming on Fur TV platforms. Really do appreciate that. Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV, and everybody says they have their own flavor. Now I'm experimenting with a new platform. Sometimes it's nice to have toys. You ever have toys? It's nice to have new toys, and I'm experimenting with the new toys and a platform. Hopefully I can figure it out because I can't find the instructions. Speaking of trying to find the instructions, I got a little story I got to tell you about. Today I was out for my walk this morning. I try to walk about 4 miles every day. Sometimes I do some in the morning. Other times I do some in the evening. So I was walking today, and I decided I'd go over to Stereo Books. See, I said Stereo Books so no one can say that I misrepresented the company. So as I walked into Stereo Books, I got my usual. I got a grande drip with steamed almond milk, and I just had like one little thing of brown sugar, a little packet of brown sugar. And then I said, leave about a half inch so I can put some whipped cream on the top. You know, because I want my coffee healthy. I said, why'd you get this steamed milk, Curry, if you put sugar and whipped cream? Mind your business. But it was tasting good. So I had my headphones on, and I wasn't really paying attention. I wasn't sat down. It takes usually about 4 minutes to get your coffee. So I sat down for about 6 minutes, and I thought to myself, maybe my coffee should be ready. So I walked up to the cup spot where they put the cups down, and I told him my name is Charles. You know, I got the best vision. I got the best vision in the universe. So I looked at the cup. It looked like it said Charles to me. But at the time I got it, I went outside. I took 2 big sips. I said, man, that's sweeter than it normally is. And I looked at the label on the cup. It said Charlene. You know, Charles, Charlene, same thing. They both start with C. But I tell you, I felt like, what do I do? Do I go back inside and say, excuse me, I have the wrong cup? Or do I say, actually, this sugar kind of tastes pretty good? But I didn't want to go back inside and stand in that line again and say, excuse me. I didn't want to be one of those guys to go to Stereo Books, and I ordered 19 different ways to make the coffee, and then I said, excuse me, you left out 2 ingredients. I didn't want to be that guy. So to my own choice, I decided I would just drink the Stereo Books coffee. That wasn't what I ordered. It was something else. And can you tell me, I mean, it's an adult show. It gave me gas. Not the kind of gas you put in your car, but the kind of gas you go, ooh, my goodness. Because I don't drink milk. I guess I'm a little bit lactose intolerant. But it had some milk. It was some type of chai something. So whatever Charlene's drinking, Charlene has a pretty strong gut. But it gave me a little bit of gas, and I felt bloated. I didn't feel really good, and I just didn't feel good. But that's a story to myself. The next time you go to a place like Stereo Books and you put what you want in your cup, make sure you read that they give it to the right person. I saw C. I figured it must be Charles because they put C. But it was Charlene, not Charles. And I was paying for it for the rest of the day. I feel much better now because I drank some apple cider vinegar, and I also drank some, like a cup of water, a couple of cups of water. I feel better now, but that's the message. Don't put things in your mouth that don't belong in your mouth. If that makes sense to you, if you ever put something in your mouth that didn't belong there, spit it out. I should have spit it out. It was too sweet. It tastes like, how do people drink a whole cup of sugar with a little splash of coffee on top of it? Well, that's what I did today. Give drinking your own cup some praise. Next time I'll drink my own cup, if that makes sense to you. And speaking of drinking your own cup, I want to make sure that I cover, oh my goodness, I got a friend of mine. I called him yesterday, and he called me back because we made a bet a few years ago. The bet was over a game. Whoever would win the game would get the benefit of saying, I want the Big C burger. What was the Big C burger, Big C? It's a tasty burger, and it comes with a lot of exotic meats. Yeah, and when I say exotic, I mean exotic. It could be horse, it could be bird, it could be rabbit, it could be cow, it could be pig, but whatever it is, it sure tastes good. But my friend, he called me back today. He know who he is. And I was praying. I said, God, what's it take for a brother to pay up? And I was saying, as I was praying, you know, he called me on the phone. I said, oh my God, God answers miracles. He told me if I have faith the size of a grain of the Big C burger, maybe I get that burger. And he laughed. He said, man, you must be out of your fucking mind. You know you owe me the burger. So we forgot who won the bet, but I think he owes me the Big C burger. Long story short, it took him a long time to pay me. He still hasn't paid me the burger, but I'm going to get my burger. He knows I will, and I know I will too. And I said, well, what comes on the Big C burger? It comes with 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, and collard greens on a sesame seed bun. And we don't know what kind of meat it is, but it sure tastes good. He opens the Big C burger and he knows it. Well, that's my story. I told him I was going to talk about him on the show today as he was trying to sell me some insurance. I said, insurance? You can't even give me the Big C burger. Anyway, we still got we can't confirm or deny who lost the bet, but I think I won the bet. So give paying your bet some praise. Maybe someday, and I shouldn't say his name, but you know he has insurance. I don't want him to try to sue me. I don't want to have any shenanigans with my friend. We've known each other almost 2 decades. If that makes sense to you, I want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. And just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then he said, let there be light. And that's what I love about saying, listen to Big C Sports Podcast. You know, I want to say also with Big C Sports Podcast, I love what I do, and you can follow Big C Sports Podcast all around the universe on 29 podcast applications, as I mentioned. But you know what I love about my show? I produce the show, I direct the topics, I broadcast all the shows. I'm telling you, I don't have a producer in my ear, but I use it with the platform provided by the agency. And then, as I tell you, the commercials are done. I even do my own stats. I do my play-by-play. And then the show is uploaded to 29 podcast platforms all over the universe. And I never missed a show since creating Big C Sports with the crew back in the days of Salem Media. So I really do appreciate that. And it's also streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. So I love doing that. I want to say give that some praise. I never missed a day in practice. I'm not talking about the game, I'm talking about practice. Never missed a day in practice. What I also love about Big C Sports Podcast is I love paying homage to the Veterans Crisis Hotline because they really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. You know, anybody going through issues, pick up the phone, call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give it some praise because we all need somebody to lean on. And it feels so good when somebody's leaning back. Really do appreciate that. I want to tell you that I think I'm one of the only sports shows in the universe that always pays homage to the California Reparations Task Force because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I'm going to talk about some NBA power rankings also for Big C Sports. But I also want to talk about some things when it comes to history. Black history, all life began on the African continent. So every day to me is Black history. But I want to say these things because it's so important to me. I want to give praise to California Reparations Task Force. The chair, Camila Moore, she's an attorney in reparative justice. She's brilliant. I'm going to give praise to Dr. Amy C. Brown, the vice chair. He's brilliant. Going to have a talk with him very soon. I'm going to give praise to California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's brilliant. Really do appreciate him. I want to give praise to Council Member Monica Montgomery Steppe. She's brilliant. Really do appreciate her. I'm going to give praise to Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. Really do appreciate him. I'm going to give praise to Dr. Shell Grills. She's brilliant. Really do appreciate her. I'm going to give praise to Attorney Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. Really do appreciate her. I'm going to give praise to Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at California Berkeley. He's brilliant, and I really do appreciate him. And I'm going to give praise to Attorney Donald K. Tamaki of the California Reparations Task Force. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. Give them all praise, praise, praise. They really do a good job with the Reparations Task Force. I'm going to talk about that more as we get things to happen for California Reparations. I also want to say what I love with Big C, the Big C team working with RDC, Resource Development Consulting, a guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth, long-term care, solutions by the book, in conjunction with the law offices of Scott Thibodeau and George Jones. We have over 3 decades of experience helping seniors get their benefits, Medicare and You, taking care of tomorrow, and in California, it's called Medi-Cal. Why would we work with the RDC and Big C team? Because your family and spouse can avoid the spend down for nursing home costs. You can find out your options. Now, I told you I'm working on a commercial Some people say I talk too slow for the commercial, so I'm going to try to speed it up. I will promise to you, we specialize to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits, protection of your assets, if that makes sense to you, without a spin down in California. All paperwork and communication with all government agencies is handled by our staff of entitlement specialists. Ongoing consulting to provide updates as necessary. Benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescriptions, medical equipment costs, and more. But primarily, protection of your assets, if that makes sense to you. Aflac? No, Aflac is gap insurance. We protect your assets. There's a difference. We protect all your assets. It's not just the gap that we protect, if that makes sense to you, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family. If that makes sense to you, that's what we do. Avoiding the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program can be 10 to 40%. And a one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for the rest of your life. Give that some praise. Give it praise, praise, praise. Is that all you offer? Is that all you offer, Big C? Well, I'm glad you asked, because what I also offer to tell you with Big C Sports Podcast, with RDC, we want to make sure that whatever we do for you, you can get the benefit. Not only do we help you protect, that we help you protect all of your assets, which I needed some today when I got a coffee that wasn't really mine. It gave me an upset stomach. And I think I learned my lesson. Don't drink coffee that don't belong to you. But as I always tell you, for you insurance companies that are out there, we tell you there's a guide, for attention business owners, a guide to find out your other options to protect what your insurance doesn't cover. Protection insurance coverage required by law, which is general liability, workers' compensation, lawyers specializing in living trust, Medicaid or Medi-Cal planning for long-term care, avoid probate, life insurance, we deal with fixed assets, checking account, savings account, money market, CDs, which is certificates of deposit, life insurance with cash values and fixed indexed annuities, variable assets, real estate, qualified money, IRA, 401k, and other investments. But what I also like for business owners, when you think about why the Big C team, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, because what we deal with is business owners throughout the country. And you got to have insurance because it protects you for liability from deep pocket lawsuits. We do that for everyone with the Big C team. We have professional general liability, workers' compensation, commercial auto insurance. Think about all those things that are necessary when you have a business. You can't just go out there thinking you're going to do business and not at some point in your time in business have someone take advantage of you and try to file a lawsuit. So we cover with that. We also deal with cyber liability. I hear that ID theft is one of the fastest growing crimes in the country. Property insurance, employers practice liability, and group health insurance, and also bonds. When you think about why you should work with RDC and paralysis insurance, we constantly monitor the markets to make certain that we have absolutely the best insurance companies that offer the most comprehensive coverage at the most affordable rates. We also go the extra mile to make sure that the application process is as easy for you as possible. Our recent clients have enjoyed tremendous savings on their insurance costs by an average of 30%. You got to give that some praise. 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. You know, I was just saying earlier, when it comes to the Big C team, also a part of the PAC committee for the National Black Wall Street Project, really do appreciate helping keep reparations on the top of the mind. And for people that think, oh, it's not possible, it is possible. It is going to happen. It comes in many ways. Some people say ending slavery was impossible, but it ended, didn't it? A lot of people said that having equality and the right to vote was impossible, but we have the right to vote, don't we? I'm not saying we have full equality, but compared to the antebellum days, we have more equality than we had then. I want to thank Double O, part of the PAC committee for the National Black Wall Street Project. She sent me Executive Order 13985 on further advancing support and equity to underserved communities through the federal government. That's the White House. She also has her own talk show called Economic Awareness called Let's Eat. And it's a great show. Really do appreciate her. And then I want to also say, I know it's March Madness, and we want to stand up for the tip-off. I want to say thank you to Georgetown University because they've already pledged for people that say reparations is not possible. Think about this. Georgetown University, you can Google it, they pledged over $1 billion and counting in reparations. to descendants of chattel slavery, 272 families that were sold off to pay off the debts for Georgetown University. So for anyone that says, oh, it's not possible for reparations, well, tell Georgetown that. If only the White House would get a clue, because they're in the same city, Washington, D.C. That's important. And for people that say, oh, reparations is not possible, well, Double O sent me this article. She's the payout committee for the National Black Wall Street Project, has her own financial talk show called Economic Awareness, Let's Eat. And she sent me this article from, think about this when you say reparations is not possible. It came from the United Nations. It says strong leadership, not weak leadership, but strong leadership and political will are crucial to ensure reparatory justice. And I know some people don't believe in the United Nations, but I do. So for anyone that stands on the side of the fence and says, oh, that's never going to happen, I just do the research. Show me your research when you say it's never going to happen, because that would be an oxymoron when it's already happened, and give that some praise. Don't give the oxymoron a praise, but give praise to the fact that there are governments that have paid reparations as you're breathing. Are you breathing? People love to tell you what they can't do for African Americans that they've already done for other groups. And I'm telling you, it's coming. I want to thank T-Mobile, America's largest 5G network, proud sponsor of the Big C Sports Podcast. But I was trying to do a Zoom call today, and my Zoom wasn't able to work. And I called T-Mobile. They said it's not T-Mobile, sir. It's the fact that you put on you didn't turn on your Wi-Fi. I said I turned my Wi-Fi on. They tried to push the can down the road, but I still got to get that checked out. I couldn't get on Zoom today, but maybe. I want to thank PNC Private Bank, proud sponsor of the Big C Sports. I want $6 billion. If they give me the $6 billion, you know I could probably get my Wi-Fi to work. That's a good reason to get the $6 billion, isn't it? I think that's important. A lot of people might say, oh, that's never going to happen. But it's going to happen. They always try to hit me up with a new phone. I bought a new phone. And this new phone, sometimes it just has its own issues, but people have their own thoughts about it. You always have nosy people. You ever be around a nosy person? They want to hear what you're talking about because they don't have enough going on in their lives. But sometimes a nosy person grabbed the wrong coffee this morning. I was being nosy, and I should have spit it out when I realized it wasn't what I ordered. But I was paying the price for it, and I'm still paying the price. But the show must go on. The praise to the show must go on. You have no idea what I'm talking about. But I do. The show must go on. I don't take pauses. I want to thank the Associated Press. They did an article on Big C Sports Podcast, and NBC News picked it up, ABC News picked it up, Fox News, CBS News. It said California reparations. For people that say it won't happen, the Associated Press wrote a story, and they called me. Out of all the people at the task force, why'd they put me in the paper? What made them call me? It was Janie Har. It was ring, ring, hello? Hi, is this Charlton Curry? I said, yeah, this is Charlton. I said, how can I help you? She's, hi, this is Janie Har, the Associated Press. I said, how'd you get my number? She said, oh, we have our ways. I said, okay, how can I help you? She said, I heard you speak at a reparations task force, and I wanted to get your opinion. Think about that. I said, if you heard me speak, then you know my thoughts. I believe in reparations now, reparations forever. You know, she wrote the article. For those who say, oh, reparations won't happen, it said Charlton Curry of Sacramento, California, who discusses reparations on his Big C Sports Podcast, that cash payments are necessary, that money talks. We know it's going to happen, and I know it's going to happen too, but we've been so conditioned to just stand up for the tip-off with March Madness. Who's your favorite team? And a lot of those African-American athletes, they are descendants of chattel slavery. They deserve reparations, which just means to repair. Who doesn't want to repair something when it's broken? And that's what I love about Big C Sports Podcast. I'm going to touch on something, why the RDC team, I told you earlier, just like with Big C Sports, I believe in having credibility. When you have the endorsements of the Mr. George H. Jones, the chairman of the California Black Chamber of Commerce, the California Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation, Mr. Leon Woods, Resource Development Consulting, one of the top lobbyists in California, Mrs. Cheryl Brown, she's the chair of the California Commission on Aging, Mr. Ray De La Cruz, the CEO of Resource Development Consulting, Mr. Alex De La Cruz, the founder of American Veteran Benefits, and also Big C, business development consultant, and has one of the top sports shows in the universe. That has a lot of credibility behind it. And then for my guest this week coming up, it's going to even have more credibility. But how many people can say that what they do is written in the Associated Press? That they got to do a lot of research on you before they put their name behind. Why would we put this guy in our paper that goes all over the world? They do their research. I believe research is important. Everybody has an opinion, but if your opinion is so good, put it in writing and let people scrutinize it. Even when I do my show, it's not for everybody. Some people just want to hear touchdown, home run, 3-point play. Oh man, Willie, he's grown all the way. They love when black men talk that way. Man, just tell me about the game. They don't want to hear about things that are factual. I'm not being pejorative. I'm saying that's happened to me. And there are times when people say, "Man, just stick to sports. You talk too much. You talk too much politic." And maybe I do talk too much politic, but that's just the way I was raised. If that's the way I was raised, I want to give that some praise. When I got in trouble, I had to read, and I got in trouble. I guess I got in trouble enough to read a little bit more than I maybe should have had to. But reading is not bad if that's okay. But I really do appreciate the things that I learned about Big C Sports. And when I do my sports show, I don't just want to do it about sports. I want to talk about things that are factual. And what I'm saying, I want, in my opinion, and everybody has one, when it comes to Big C's Black history and the voice of history, there are new museums that talk about the complexities of life for African Americans. All life came from Africa, according to science. Dr. Mendel and Dr. Leakey. Dr. Mendel, considered the father of science, he studied that the dark gene is dominant, the light gene is recessive. That the dark gene can reproduce any hue of color on the planet, but the recessive gene cannot. That's Mendel. Dr. Leakey was looking for the origin of man. He went to Europe, but he didn't stay long. He traced the origin of man back to Africa, to the womb of a black woman. And then the people that say, "Yeah, but we don't deserve no reparations because that happened a long time ago." Well, life happened a long time ago. There are some museums that are changing the way that black history is told across America. If you go Montgomery, Alabama, a wooden bench at the edge of the Freedom Monument sculpture, it's a park. It says visitors can see the Alabama River, where enslaved Africans were transported and sold into a life of forced labor. You ever been forced to do labor? And from the wide windows on the second floor of the International African American Museum in Charleston, South Carolina, visitors can look across the Cooper River toward Africa, where people from the continent were kidnapped to be auctioned off here in what's now called the United States. The sculpture park opens this month, and the International Museum opened last summer. Both were built on sites considered sacred and important to telling the history of African Americans, to telling the history of America. They said, "We built these places where we can all tell the story, save the story, and steward the story," said Tanya Matthews, president and CEO of the International African American Museum. But think about this too, as you say, "Oh, we can't pay reparations, not to those black folks." You think about the challenges. She's been the curator of the story. Who's picking the stories? Who's telling the stories? Whose stories do we believe should have been in institutions? Arguably, the African American story has not been in the category that was thought to need a grand institution. Tanya Matthews, president and CEO of the International African American Museum in Charleston, South Carolina. The museum and the Monument Park are among a growing number of sites across the country opening in the past decade to preserve and celebrate black history and the black experience in America. Some are multi-million-dollar museums, while others are housed in small museum centers. In Mississippi, there's Civil Rights Museum in Jackson and the B.B. King Museum in the blues legend native of Indianola in Alabama. The National Memorial for Peace and Justice tells the story of the nation's troubling history of lynching. Oh, that was a long time ago, Big C. Lynching. Imagine looking up and seeing your father, your mother, your son, your daughter, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your niece, your nephew, your grandparents, your great-grandparents being lynched. And it was legal. In this country. You know, in God we trust. Oh, we don't deserve no reparations. That was a long time ago. Think about that. And in Washington, D.C., the National Museum of African American History and Culture showcases the journey of black people across the United States. Black museums have long been cultural anchors in their communities, but it's only been in recent years that more have raised enough money and garnered enough support to open. Museum leaders said the institutions matter even more today as lawmakers in some states, they push to restrict the teaching of black history and even ban some books that tell this story. Oh, we don't deserve no reparations. Now, history matters. Everybody has a history. But if you want to know where you came from, no matter what your skin pigmentation, Google Dr. Leakey and see where he opined that all life came from. It all came from Africa. We all have more in common than we don't have in common. But if all you do is see us playing touchdown, homers, 3-point plays, oh man Willie, he's going all the way, then you really miss out on where you came from. If all that came from Africa, doesn't that tell you something? That we all came from the same source? And when you hear about black history in museums, and you hear about some, I'm telling you, there's some states that are trying to do away with black history and the teaching of it. They call it the woke society. Think about that when people say where they're from. History matters. It's important, says Lonnie Branch, founding director of the National Museum of African American History and Culture, and now secretary of the Smithsonian. And it's partly museum's job to articulate that and provide an opportunity to use history to define reality and give people hope. That's so important. The entrance to the Equal Justice Initiative Freedom Monument sculpture, the park in Montgomery, Alabama. On a recent afternoon, and the Alabama River rose so high, the boat that would have ferried visitors from downtown Montgomery to the new Freedom Memorial Sculpture Park, it was not in service. The voyage is intended to introduce visitors to the site along the waterway that enslaved people traveled. The park, which opens March 27th, it sits on a 17-acre site between the river and the railroad tracks. Enslaved people were forced to lay. Oh, we don't deserve no reparations. It's going to be impossible to find out who deserves to get paid. They do DNA tests to determine who's the father of a child. Oh, that's too impossible, Big C. They do DNA tests to determine your lineage. Oh, that's too impossible, Big C. They use DNA to find evidence if a crime was committed. But when it comes to DNA, oftentimes people say, well, we can't use that to determine descendants of child of slavery. Yes, they can. Nearly all the works in the park were created by African Americans. Africans and indigenous artists, and some are part of the permanent collection, and others are on a loan. But each tell a story. We should not be running away from that, as we just want to run to watch sports. Acknowledging indigenous people who lived on the land long before Europeans even arrived. I said long before Europeans even arrived. There are sculptures honoring their culture, their presence, and their resilience. A bronze sculpture created by Alan Helzer. Pictures of a man hunting buffalo. Steps away stands Cliff Fergua's The Three Sisters, made of Utah alabaster. The history of our people deserves to be on something big, even as they're trying to do away with it in many universities. I told you there's 30 out of 50 states they've already tried to end. They've submitted 100 laws to either end or limit equity, diversion, and inclusion on college campuses. If you go further along the path, a map tracing the transatlantic slave trade shows nearly 3 million people who were trafficked from Angola From 1501 to 1867, their wooden pillars report dates and counties where enslaved people were brought to. From 1619 to 1774, nearly 4,000 were taken to Hampton, Virginia, and visitors walk along a trail made with resin to make it feel more like earth. They can read slave laws that banned enslaved people from traveling off of plantations without written permission. And the punishment included floggings and sometimes death. Oh, we don't deserve to pay them reparations. The Equal Justice Initiative Freedom Monument Sculpture Park is there on display. We gotta realize our history is so powerful. But sometimes they only want to watch us perform and play sports. I'm telling you, that's on Big C Sports. I don't want to be that kind of guy. And it's not for everybody. Some people love it more when they shut up and dribble. Some people love you more when you shut up and dribble. But African American history is history that affects everybody, every culture. The narrative of William Wells Brown, it tells the story of his escape from slavery. He went on to lecture against slavery and write that it is considered the first novel by an African American. There's last seen panels featuring ads posted by people searching for wives, mothers, husbands. Many spent their last nickels and dimes looking for loved ones. San Brian Stevenson, who created the park and founded the Equal Justice Initiative, a human rights organization pushing to end mass incarceration. You gotta give that some praise. You gotta give that praise. Oh, we don't deserve to pay the reparations. There's no statute of limitations on fraud. It just reinforces how much for enslaved people the most important thing about slavery was the ability to love someone, to find your children, your siblings, your parents. Stevenson told that to USA Today in an interview ahead of the park's opening. That was very powerful. Near the end of the path, as you stand up for the tip-off, near the end of the path, visitors look toward the sky at the National Monument to Freedom, a 43-foot-high, 155-foot-wide steel structure that bears 122,000 unique surnames adopted by black people in the 1870 census. It was the first count where enslaved black people were listed by name. And we're the original people of the planet. Oh, Big C, I don't believe that. I just told you. Google Dr. Leakey and Gregory Mendel. Dr. Louis S.B. Leakey and Gregory Mendel. They opined where all life came from. So plans for the wall went from 20 feet high to 30 feet to 43 feet. The history of our people deserves to be on something big. And part of the inscription Stevenson wrote for the wall reads, "The country you built must honor you. We acknowledge the tragedy of your enslavement. We commit to advancing freedom in your name." You got to give that some praise. It's bigger than just yelling who won the game. And that, to me, is one thing that I love about doing the Big C Sports Podcast. Because you don't hear about this. When you watch March Madness, I'm telling you, I love sports too. It's a billion-dollar industry. But at the same time, we pretend that reparations is too difficult to conquer. But people always do Ancestry.com. They want to know where they came from through their DNA. And then they'll tell you, well, we can't use DNA to track people who have chattel slavery. Yes, you can. You can, and we will. All life came from Africa. Don't you want to know where you came from? If you know where you come from, maybe you respect your root a little better. Now, since the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture opened in 2016, people have been more interested in visiting their local museums and creating new ones, said Vedek Coleman Robinson, Executive Director of the Association of African American Museums. The museum had 1.6 million visitors last year. Think about that. Today, there are about 300 African Americans focused museums, including virtual ones. Remember, all life came from Africa, according to science. Even if you don't believe science, it doesn't make it not real. Today, there are about 300 African American focused museums, including virtual ones. More are scheduled to open soon. including the National Urban League Civil Rights Museum in Harlem, the Go-Go Museum in Washington, D.C., the Hip Hop Museum in the Bronx, and the National Juneteenth Museum in Fort Worth, Texas. You got to give that some praise. You got to give it praise. I want to say this before I get into some sports. It's important. Charleston highlights local black history. It's not lost on visitors to the International African American Museum at what was once the busiest slave port in Northeast America, where hundreds of thousands of Africans were brought to be sold into generations of slavery, only to be met by modern-day people, not all but some, that say, oh, we don't deserve to pay no reparations. That was a long time ago. The idea for the museum began about 20 years ago, and plans changed and expanded over the decades. It became clear that Charleston did not just need to tell its own story, that we were the linchpin in the much larger story of that beginning period of slavery in America. More than 100,000 people have visited since the museum opened last summer. It's not anathema to history to love black history and all history, because all life came from Africa. And that's part of what I want to give praise to. And I just appreciate being able to talk about things not just sports-centric, because a lot of people love us when we're playing sports for them. But there's so much to the history of this country that I want to celebrate, and I love giving celebrations some praise. 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624 if you're looking for opportunity in insurance and also real estate. Just tell them Big C sent you. That's my story that I'm taking with it. Well, as you know, as we stand up for the tip-off all over the country, March Madness, people getting their brackets filled in, trying to find a way to win some money, or just to win bragging rights in your office pool. I've already told you my opinion. The teams that have the best chance to win the March Madness, I have UConn, I have Houston, I'm going to say Tennessee, and Arizona. They may or may not get there, but I think those are teams that are more than capable of cutting down the nets for March Madness. And when they do, when they play one shiny moment, I'm going to interrupt it with saying, reparations now, reparations forever. One shiny moment, you win or you lose. One shiny moment, reparations now, reparations forever. They're going to say, who in the world brings in this show? Because he got a hold of the microphone, and he decided he put reparations in the one shiny moment. NBA Power Rankings, let's get ready to rumble! I got Big C's NBA Power Rankings. The New York Knickerbockers, they surge into the Big C's top 10. And some of the LA teams, they're trying to slide down a little bit. Maybe they're just getting ready to get all rested up. Sometimes those things can happen to you. You can't just win start to finish. You got to have sometime a chance to recoil, and then you build up your stamina for the playoffs and not try to just burn that branch right now as you have about 15 games left for most teams. But I'm going to do my thought on who I think the Big C's NBA Power Rankings is my opinion, and I'm going to stick with it. I got to start with number 10 in Big C's NBA Basketball Power Rankings, and I hope they start championing reparations now, reparations forever, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. And they should support the California Reparations Task Force. I have my opinion. Number 10 in Big C's NBA Power Rankings, I got the Los Angeles Clippers. When you think about LA and Los Angeles Clippers, LA is Tinseltown. In fact, I want to just say, I was watching a show last night. It was Jimmy Kimmel, and they were doing something on Dr. Dre. I think he got a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and he had Snoop Dogg on there, and I think 50 Cent was also on there. They had a nice skit with Jimmy Kimmel. But I want to congratulate Dr. Dre. I believe he just got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And I hope he sings a song about reparations now, reparations forever. That'd be great if he actually put that song together, because he has a mind that's so brilliant, people will actually listen to it. And that's what I love about doing the show with Big C Sports Podcast. People will actually listen to Dr. Dre. And no matter what you think about Big C Sports, and if I think that certain entertainers I think it benefited all of us. If we get our entertainers that would stand up and champion for reparations and not just hear Big C talk about it, I think that would carry a big stick in making sure that we know the truth. We all know the truth. You can't say you don't know the truth if you listen to Big C Sports Podcast. There's no reason that we would say we don't deserve reparations. Not in this country. Not when you have a program like Big C Sports. It's there for all of us to embrace. And I just hope that we can do that and give that some praise. But as I say, my thoughts in Big C's NBA power rankings, I got the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, they've lost 4 of the last 5. And the NBA's 27th ranked defense, not good. James Harden, who's had a strong first season with the Los Angeles Clippers, has been kind of erratic of late, connecting 40% of his shots this month. Not good. He'll get better. And something else that you'd be surprised to hear is that the Clippers actually might miss the great Russell Westbrook. Both of them played high school basketball in Southern California in Los Angeles area. So I believe I'm not wrong by saying this, even though it might be too early. Number 9 in Big C's NBA power rankings, I got the New York Knickerbockers. The Knicks marched through Portland, Sacramento, and Golden State in the first 3 games of their current road trip, with Bronson leading the way. But how about the Miles and McBride? Played just 47 minutes for the undermanned New York Knicks against the Warriors. He dropped 29 points and shot nearly 70%. Marks has McBride shooting about 42%. The Knicks may fade in the playoffs, but it's great when you have the New York Knicks in Big C's NBA power rankings. That's my story. I'm taking with it. I got number 8 in Big C's NBA power rankings. If you like it or not, there's something about the Dallas Mavericks and the great Luka Doncic, the great Kyrie Irving. He left. I'm telling you, he had a left-handed dagger against Denver, was a highlight. But the Mavs have been good lately, winning 5 of the last 6 games with a road loss in Oklahoma City. The lone blemish, the great Luka Doncic, has been putting up some ridiculous numbers since the All-Star break. 35 points he's been dropping per game and shooting 50%. Before you think about Dallas being the team that's going to win the West, and I don't think they will, this team is just 27th in defensive rating since the break too. So they play a lot to score on offense. It's going to cost them in the playoffs. If you don't play defense, chances are you're not going to be a dominant team in the playoffs. I got number 7 in Big C's NBA basketball power rankings. Cleveland, this is for you. The great Donovan Mitchell, the injured Cavs star, tweeted out support for Chris LeVert, the 6th man of the year. But think about Cleveland's road win in Indiana on Monday, and LeVert, who's averaging about 14 points per game, in a reserve role. The Cavs, meanwhile, solidified their hold on number 3 in the East and just a 1 game back of the Milwaukee Bucks for the number 2 spot. I don't think they're going to win the East, but I think they can make a lot of noise and make it tough on the teams that had a number. What about number 6 in Big C's NBA basketball power rankings? I got the New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans, yeah, the New Orleans Pelicans. It's not the Smoothie King Arena. To me, it's not a great place to watch a basketball game. But it is a nice arena it's a nice arena for them on the inside because they're winning. The great Zion Williamson, since the All-Star break, dropping 23 points per game, playing about 33 minutes per game, and he's shooting 60%, making the criticism of his weight a distant memory. The Pelicans are 15-5 in their last 20 games, and that's tied for 3rd in the NBA in win percentage. And since the New Orleans, think about this program, New Orleans is a football city, but their basketball is making some noise too. Even though I don't give them a lot of chance in the playoffs, New Orleans is ranked 3rd in net rating, and 5th in offensive rating, and 5th in defensive rating. They're a good team, but will they get back to what they were before they got good when the playoffs come around? I don't think they're going to win the West, but they are a good team. I got to go number 5 in Big C's NBA basketball power rankings. The Milwaukee Bucks, after an early surge in the first week of the Doc Rivers era, this team right now, they have their own problems, and they become leaky again, 19th in efficiency since the All-Star break. And when we're thinking about the great Giannis, I want to call him King Giannis Antetokounmpo, the MVP candidacy. Giannis is tracking to become the first player in NBA history to average 30-plus points on 60% shooting. In March, he's averaging 33 points per game. And with this matchup, against the Boston Celtics is a big chance for King Giannis Antetokounmpo to grab the attention of the voters. He's a star player, just a walking scoring machine. And I really love the way he plays basketball, King Giannis Antetokounmpo. I got to bring, in my opinion, I hate that the big cat went down, but Minnesota Timberwolves, I'm still going to put them at number 4 in Big C's NBA basketball power rankings. Yes, Anthony Edwards posterizing John Collins is one of the many ways Edwards popped up the Wolves' floundering offense of late. Over the last 3 games, all wins, Edwards is averaging 33 points. He's shooting 57%. With Karl Anthony Towns still weeks away, at least from a return, Minnesota will need excellence from Edwards every night. It may wear him down the stretch, but right now it looks really good in the Purple City, if that makes sense to you. I got number 3 in Big C's NBA basketball power rankings. I got the Oklahoma City Thunder. If I can get that on cue. Oklahoma City Thunder! Sometimes my producer falls asleep. I didn't fall asleep, Big C. Well, sometimes you got to do it on cue. The Oklahoma City Thunder! See, sometimes he does fall asleep. Maybe it's that coffee that I ate. But I got to tell you, Oklahoma City, they're a good team, but I don't have a lot of confidence in them. I just don't, because they're young. Josh Giddey has entered that chat. He's connecting on 55% of his shots this month, including 33% from 3. He has good rebounding. The guy can play basketball, and this is a good basketball team, but they're going to have to kind of show me first. You can talk about how great you are, but when you get into the playoffs, they're not a battle-tested team, and I think that may catch them in the backside, if that makes sense to you. And hopefully, maybe I'm wrong for their sake, but I don't see them going really far in the playoffs. But I think about this team. OKC is good, but they're young. And when they get battle-tested, obviously you can look at this team maybe having a chance to win an NBA championship. But right now, I don't put them there because I just don't think they're there. That's my story. I'm taking with it. I got number 2 in Big C's NBA basketball power rankings. Have a second. I got to do this the right way, the way the late Johnny Most would do it. Have a second inbounds to Russell. Russell throws over to Larry Bird. Larry Bird over to DJ. DJ over to Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum for 3. That's my rendition of the Boston Celtics with all their great players over the years, leading up to the great Jason Tatum. But at this point, the Boston Celtics, they look a little bit bored at times. They emptied the bench for a blowout win in Washington. Sam Hauser knocked down 10 threes in 2+ quarters. In that one of that set that Jason Tatum said and Drew Holiday in a 25-point drubbing of Detroit will come Wednesday. I think they have a new look. Bucks coming to town. I can't wait for that game to tip off tonight. All's fair and never more. But at the same time, it's a miss and make league. And with the Bucks in town and King Giannis, can you outscore them? I can't wait to find out. That's just the way the ball bounces. And I love talking about sports and these great players playing against each other. But I hope that NBA at one point or another, I thought they'd start championing reparations. I would love to see them start championing reparations now, reparations forever, and not just leave it all up to Big C. But that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I was talking earlier last week to Aleem Shabazz, the president owner of Crescent Sports Media, also part of the National Black Wall Street Project, co-chair. And he loves sports also. We're just trying to get more of our athletes to at least acknowledge reparations as we open more museums that are dedicated to African American history this year alone, in this month, in the United States. That's important. But I want to say, be that as it may, I'm going to give you my thoughts, and I got to hold on to it. Big C's number 1 team in Big C's NBA power rankings, I got to go with the Denver Nuggets. I know they're the defending NBA champions. They're not a sexy team. The Joker, Nikola Jokic, he's up for MVP again. And he continues to get stronger, it seems, as we get closer to the playoffs. So even with a couple of kind of subpar scoring games in the last week, the Joker's averaging 27 points a game this month. He's shooting 59%. Denver, meanwhile, has lost only twice since the All-Star break. An overtime game against the Phoenix Suns, and a buzzer-beating loss in Dallas. So the Nuggets are playoff ready. And you better believe they're going to come down that back 9, staying playoff ready. Will they win the Western Conference? It's hard to repeat as champion. So I'm going to say no. But I might have some egg on my face, and I don't even eat eggs. It's not going to be Oklahoma City. It's not going to be Minnesota. They don't have the big cat. I'm still looking for a team to come out of the West that maybe people kind of take for granted right now. And I may be wrong. I'm going to look, and I might be wrong. I think the LA Clippers, once they get their act together, get your bad games out of you now. As I said earlier, the Clippers lost 4 of the last 5. They're the NBA's 27th ranked defense during that stretch. But I do think that they can get it together. Kawhi Leonard and James Harden, he's a great shooter. Paul George, those guys, they're about ready to make a run. And I may be wrong, but that's my opinion. But right now for this week, I have Denver number 1 in Big C's NBA Power Ranking. Give that some praise. I say give it praise. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I come to the close of today's show on Big C Sports Podcast, I love saying things that are important to me, and I believe that pushing reparations is important, and I want to make sure that no matter what I do, if I say it on Big C Sports Podcast, you can research it. And I say do that for everybody. It's important to do that. I love giving honor and give that some praise. Again, I'm trying out a new platform today, so sometimes it's a hitch in the giddy up. But I had the first hitch in the giddy up was me getting a cup of coffee from Story of Bugs, and it said Charlene, and I thought it said Charles. Next time I got to read the fine print, because my belly's been bubbling all day. If you ever walked around with a bubbling belly, you know how I feel. Hopefully the Pepto-Bismol will rub and kick in pretty soon. That's my story that I'm thinking with it. I gotta tell you, if you're gonna drink, don't drive. If you're gonna drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can walk it off, you can sleep it off, but don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car after they've been drinking, because the life you save may be your own, or someone you love. That's my story that I'm taking with it. As I always tell you on every Big C Sports show, I love paying homage to my beautiful family. On my mother's side, my great-grandparents, Mamo and Pop, my grandparents, Mudia and Hezekiah, they were seers. They could look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, present, and their future. I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and also coached an all-boys Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. Always saying rise and shine. The best person I ever met in my life. I love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. On my father's side, my grandparents, Albert Curry, and my grandmother, Alberta Curry. The pastor had 3 churches and 2 gas stations. Really do appreciate them. My grandmother told me there's something about my voice. She said, there's something about your voice. I love hearing you speak. I was 8 years old. Really do appreciate her. And then my beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure that airplanes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night. Love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful brother, Todd, with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning when Todd would speak. Always saying, go forward, a voracious reader. Love Todd with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, 2 degrees with honors, in 3.5 years from a major university. Set up the very first interview for Big C Sports Podcast back at Salem Media. You can be anything you want to be, Daisy. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always trust God. And then my beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College student, very smart, erudite, a good man. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Malcolm helped me save trees. I used to always get newspapers to look up stats for players and teams for Big C Sports Podcast. One day, Malcolm said, Dad, why don't you just Google it? I've been Googling ever since on 29 podcast platforms. One day, Malcolm said, Dad, you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, and say, play Big C Sports. You'll see your show come up. That's before it was even on the air. Now streaming on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Malcolm, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. You can be anything you want. Always trust God. And then Big C, with that wealth of knowledge over the years, always saying you gotta believe, you gotta believe, you gotta believe. Let's get ready to rumble. I love saying it. Welcome to the show, FB nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. I have no 3-way teleprompters. I have no producer in my ear. I do my show fresh, and that's the way I like my coffee fresh. If that makes sense to you. My beautiful mother always says, there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know anybody going through that crap, pick up the phone and call 911. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that abuse. Anybody who loves you, they don't put hands on you. If anybody's doing that to you, there's no leader. Everyone needs leader in their life. Leader is an acronym for love is the answer. Anyone who loves you, they don't put their hands on you. They don't try to choke you out. They don't try to make it feel like it's your fault. Call 911, let them deal with it. That's my straight up ticket with it. Well, back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. And every time I listen to Big C Sports, I think reparations now, reparations forever. And then I feel like a butterfly that sting like a bee. Nobody's better than Muhammad Ali. Well, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. As I always want to tell you, what they tell President Abraham Lincoln says to President Biden. He says, pass reparations now, pass reparations forever. Say it like your team just won the game. Sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. Say it like you really do believe it. Sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. I'm going to close today's show a little bit differently. Because you say you love Dr. King. Would you believe he was there when Lyndon Baines Johnson when they signed civil rights into law? Listen to what he says about reparations for those of you who say you love Dr. King.
Same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today, many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. This is what we are faced with, and this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
You say you love Dr. King? Dr. King also loves reparations. I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day.